Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here. Happy Saturday. It is Easter weekend, and I know last week we went live on Sunday, but I figured, Kate and I have family plans. I'm sure a lot of you all have family plans as well, so I figured let's do something on a Saturday. These lives might just kind of switch back and forth depending on, what else is going on in our lives. So hopefully that works out for you guys. If there's a particular day you'd rather see me go live, then please don't hesitate to let me know. What's happening, Gavin? We got Gavin in the chat. Hey, man. I'm sorry I bummed you out with my franchise ranking, but hopefully we agree on at least a few of those, I think, at least like in the kind of spots where they should be. And I totally know that, A New Beginning has some really great fans out there. A lot of people consider it the best one, just maybe it is because it stands out. It is very stylistic. I think the direction's very stylized, and hey, the nudity is on point and awesome. But yeah, you guys can check out my video if you want to hear a little bit more on that. Hopefully you guys liked that ranking, and maybe I'll put out like a poll for what ranking we'll end up doing next. So somebody had shouted out that they wanted A Nightmare on Elm Street. So maybe I'll just do a poll and we'll kind of go through, because I want to make sure that it's something everyone, all you guys are interested in. So I'll probably do a ranking like once a month, just so that way I don't burn through them too quick. It allows me to focus on other things as well. So, the idea here is just to kind of build up the channel, and maybe, these collaborations and rankings and stuff like that, they become once a month. But then, once we build up enough in the pipeline, we've got, kind of like weekly specials. And then every month we revisit one of those specials. So just want to say what's up to everyone else in the chat. How are you doing, Gene? Great to see you here. Let's see here. Foz Rotten is in the chat. How's it going, Foz? Great to see you, man. So Gavin says part 5 has such good characters, makes up for Tommy being bland. Yeah, and I think the performance there, is it Jonathan Shepard? Is that who plays Tommy? Nothing wrong with his performance. It's what's on the page isn't very interesting for Tommy, unfortunately. And they sort of lead you to believe that maybe Tommy could be the killer. And I know at the very end, they also give you that teaser, but that never pays off. And I kind of would have rather been that Tommy was the killer in part 5. I don't know. And how about John Shepard and how ripped he is in that movie? That was, long before the days of every single actor and actress being totally cut and having their own, nutritionist. Not everyone was Chris Pratten back in the 80s, so it is pretty impressive how ripped he is. How's it going, Chris? Great to see you in the chat. What's up, Fight the Good Fight? Yeah, we got some people, jumping in here. You guys are just amazing. This is really cool. When I started doing these lives like a few weeks ago, I think I said this last week, I just thought I'd be speaking to the camera and it would just be kind of practice, to get everything rolling. So it's cool to see you guys jump in. Had a great time being on the premiere last night for the Friday the 13th franchise ranking with y'all. So that was really cool. And guys, this time last week, we had just reached 400. I think we were like 408 by Saturday last week. It felt like I was at 392 for forever. 392 was killing me. And we reached 300 on New Year's Eve. So it was a long journey from 300 to 400. But because of great support from people like, Chris Snyder over at Movie Misfits, Barry over at Wolfman's Got Nards, and of course, Darren and Frank over at the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. I saw the subs just jump up, huge gains for, especially relative to what we're used to here on the channel. So I've been seeing a lot of comments of people saying, hey, I found you because of the Slaughtered Lamb. And it's great to know where you guys are coming from. And I hope I can, do what it takes to keep you around. So I hope you enjoy the back catalog. And also, maybe you guys can see that there has been some progression there. I try to make every video a little bit better. I try to make the thumbnails a little bit better, get more comfortable with you guys. As you can tell, I am a pretty comfortable guy, but there is a leap, even for somebody as loudmouthed and ridiculous as I am, there is a leap of faith that you have to take in yourself, to just make sure you're not being too stiff and make sure you're talking about things you're passionate about. And even if you're covering material that other people might be covering, you know that you're doing it in your own way, that you're carving out that niche for yourself. So let's see here. Foz says, you bypassed me on the road to 500. I'm back here thumbing at 411. Well, hey, Foz, let's get you back up there, man. I do want you guys to know, if you check the description, there's going to be links for Movie Misfits, for Foz, for Wolfman's Got Nards, for the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. So if you guys, I urge you to check out those channels if you haven't already. I'd imagine that maybe you're subbed to at least a couple of those as of now. So, and then Mud says, lives are always poppin'. I think people enjoy them because it's interactive. Yeah, I think that is something that I wanted to at least get a few more subs before I started doing the live game a lot. But I noticed that, and I feel the same way, Gavin. When I jump into a live, I just feel like it's a chance to hang out with everyone, to really get that, like you're saying, that interactive experience. How's it going, Ashton? Great to see you here in the chat. I've seen you in all sorts of, Slaughtered Lamb and Dave McCrae chats, so it's great to see you popping in here. I don't know, is this your first time? I'm sorry if it isn't and I missed your first time, or maybe I'm repeating myself because I do that a lot. So yeah, let's see here. Movie Misfits. Hey, I appreciate that, my friend. Yeah, dude. I really like what Movie Misfits does. I really like Chris's personality. Chris puts in a lot of work as far as, especially the time that he puts into his channel. So, and Chris, really kind of that nostalgia drip as far as taking a trip back to the 80s and the 90s. So I think there's a lot of us on YouTube that are either from that era or we came right after one of those eras. So we were absorbing all of that media, when we were younger. And we look back on it with a certain fondness, and there's like a celebratory nature when we talk about those times. So a great thing too is Chris is one of those guys that is very appreciative of like modern contributions to film and all that kind of stuff. And he's a big like physical media / digital media guy. So if you want to see all the ridiculous amounts of movies he has in his collection, go check out one of his streams where he covers like the voodoo stuff. It's pretty impressive. Or I guess it's the Fandango app that they've switched it over to. Ashton, I've seen you in all the chats and everything. I know I'm always shouting you down in those chats. It's a work in progress without a... Yeah, I think that's the fun thing about these channels is as you keep on going and as you gain those followers and you get that support from, the people in the community that are on the audience side, and then the people on the community that are also on the content creation side, it just fuels you to want to get better and do more. And a big thing that I want to do here, in YouTube is lift other people up that I think are doing a great job. And part of that is through collaborations. Chris, when we were chatting through Instagram, I was like, let's build a network. Like, there's no reason why it can't be like a group of channels where we interact with each other on like a fairly regular basis. We all keep kind of like comic books. We all have our own stories and everything to tell, but we also have the team issues, So that's a big thing that I want to bring into what I'm doing here on YouTube. So not only can I be more involved and get to meet more of you guys out there in the audience side and the content creator side, but also just so, we can lift each other up. And, that sense of community, it's kind of like going to church, it gives you purpose. It makes you feel like you belong. And, for weirdos like us that like punk rock or horror and, stuff that's like relatively fringe in society and not so down the middle, at least all the time. I think it's really cool to see that support. What's happening, Allie girl? You're out grocery shopping for tomorrow. Can't stay. Just wanted to say hi. Well, I appreciate that. And hey, feel free to check it out once you get home if you want to see what we're chatting about here. What is everyone doing for Easter? Did you guys do anything for Good Friday? Did you all watch the long Good Friday? I know that Darren over at the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast has been touting that one as of late. And actually, I've got a little, we've got the road to 500, and that's because of you. So that's actually, I stole that from Love's, the gas station, because I guess they have like 500 stores now in the country. But I was looking for something where we can kind of celebrate you guys and this road to 500, which we're at like 455 as of now. So it's coming quick. And I think that's kind of the way that YouTube sort of rewards people is every milestone you reach, maybe there's some more exposure out there. And certainly it helps to have people out there mentioning the channel. So yeah, guys, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here and you've got a friend in real life or a friend in YouTube land or social media that you think would be a fan, or even another content creator that for whatever reason we haven't crossed paths, like let me know who they are. Feel free to share the channel with them. I've been seeing a lot of content creators and podcasts pop up on my socials that I've never even heard of before. So I watch a lot of different stuff on YouTube. I'm really into sports, so I watch a lot of sports. I watch comedy. I watch, the horror stuff, the video game coverage. I'm a huge like retro, game fanatic. I'm not so into like the content creation with that. I think there's plenty of people that do a great job, but I really enjoy playing video games. I mean, I'm an 80s kid, so maybe YouTube kind of gets confused as to what to share with me as far as the algorithm goes. So yeah, sometimes I just miss stuff. It's not, I'm not doing it, purposely. It's kind of how it goes. But yeah, to kick things off, guys, thank you so much for subbing, for taking part in the channel, for being here on this journey with us. Please share with me what you want to see more of on the channel. And yeah, jump down in the comments to interact. I think I respond to every comment. If somebody like does a double comment, I might just, respond to one, but I really love interacting with you guys. It's another thing that fuels me. And no matter what, if it's 500 subscribers or 5,000 or wherever the heck we find ourselves on this journey, I want to do my best to keep in touch with y'all. So yeah, that's something that I'm committed to. And I know, it takes time, but there's always time to, take about 5 minutes, 10 minutes just to play catch up on those things. It's really important to me that we keep that relationship going because like I said in the stream last week, it's kind of like I'm the CEO of the channel, but you guys are the shareholders, so it's not worth anything without you. So yeah, let's keep it up. And yeah, speaking of, let's see here, the long Good Friday. I guess we can hit that up first because yesterday was Good Friday. So yeah, Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast was talking about this film. I had never seen it before, but I'm a big fan of Bob Hoskins as an actor. I think he's great, and he could do so much as far as accents and demeanor. I feel like he really becomes the character. And The Long Good Friday is a really interesting kind of like it came out in '80, but it's definitely got a late '70s vibe. I'm sure it was shot in '79, maybe even earlier because I heard it had some post-production issues. But it's definitely got that '70s vibe as far as the music goes. It has an awesome soundtrack. It is kind of like it's a gangster movie, but it also reminds me of like those '70s espionage, like spy thrillers. So it's got this element of a little bit of a whodunit. There's a bit of a mystery there. Without giving too much away, it is about a gangster in London who's trying to kind of make the next leap and connect with, some mafia from the US that are visiting. And so he's on the verge of making a really great deal with them, just kind of strengthening his power and ensuring that his legacy live on for even longer. And on Good Friday, Easter weekend on Good Friday, as the Americans are visiting, there's like a series of bombings and attacks on his crime family. So it's like, it's making him look weak. So the story takes place in like, maybe 36 hours, 24 to 36 hours. And just sort of shows what he goes through, how he changes as a character and a person. I thought it was kind of reminiscent of, what movie was it reminding me of? Because it definitely had like this slippage of power kind of feel. I can't think of it right now, but as we go through the show, if I can remember what movie it was that it just reminded me of right away, then yeah, I'll let you guys know about that. So if you have Max, you can watch The Long Good Friday. It's about 2 hours long, and it's a pretty brisk 2 hours. I would say really only my criticism of the film is some of the mystery in it. They don't really give you enough clues or kind of let you in enough to where you can get a better idea of what's happening. It sort of puts you in the shoes of Hoskins' character, where you kind of find out things as he finds them out. So, but a lot of really great performers. There's like a 27-year-old Pierce Brosnan in this film. So kind of wild stuff. Let me know in the chat if you guys have seen The Long Good Friday and what you think. I'm going to hop back over to the chat so I can catch up with you guys here. Let's see here. Gavin says, I just watched a couple of the worst horror movies I've ever seen recently the last couple of days. What movies, Gavin? What are the worst horror movies you've seen? Oh, there we go. Alive from 2006. And, Stay Alive from 2006. And Diced from 2023. I've never even heard of those movies. I'm still... Gavin, I'm so sorry I've not watched... is it... gosh, what is it? The Void? Is that what it's called? I've not watched it yet. I've been really busy. I started a new job a couple weeks ago and just trying to keep stuff up on the channel and regular life too. So I apologize that I haven't seen it yet, but it's on the list. I'm going to watch it. You'll be the first person I reach out, okay? Foz says, I got to get going on Letterboxd. I've been a patron for years and it's my favorite thing on the internet. Yeah, I don't do many like written reviews on Letterboxd, but I am on there. So I know I've got my little, my icon there and my username. So yeah, find me on Letterboxd and encourage me to write reviews, guys. I do have some rankings on there. Kind of got a soft spot for Stay Alive is what Ashton says. Jean says she's never seen this movie, The Long Good Friday. I recommend it. If you have Max, go ahead and check it out, Jean. If you like gangster movies or like spy movies, I'm surprised that movie hasn't been remade, actually, because it seems like something that they would, make a little more intense, put some more action scenes in there and modernize it that way. But man, Hoskins is just transformative in that. He just really becomes that character. Love his natural Cockney accent is really fun in there. Stay Alive is about a video game that kills you if you die in the game. Okay, so it's like a Nightmare on Elm Street meets those new Jumanji movies. Rotten Tail on Joe Bob last night was so bad, but at least we had Joe Bob and Darcy. Yeah, I think that's the fun thing about like bad horror is bad horror can still be fun, right? Like bad comedy is excruciating and bad horror is a blast. Like that movie Ticks. Have you guys ever seen that movie Ticks? With what's his face? I always forget people's names on live streams. It's like my brain takes a break. But what's his face from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Carlton. What's that actor? Alfonso Rubino or Rubiani or something like that. Gosh, I hope I'm close. You guys will all correct me there in the chat, I'm sure. Forgot to warn you, it's very darkly lit movie and it's best to watch in a dark room. Yeah, and I think like it looks pretty disturbing, so maybe it's a movie that I'll watch without Kate just because I don't know if she'll really jive with it. She's, she's definitely a team player when it comes to the horror, but she's not as big a fan into the really disturbing stuff. Like we watched The Witch and we had to like pause a couple parts on The Witch just so she could kind of take a breath, which man, The Witch is friggin' awesome. What's happening, Jamie? Great to see you back in the chat. I saw you in another live stream earlier this week, so that's awesome to see you here. Yeah, Fight the Good Fight says I love Ticks. I really do too. It's cheesy in the best possible way. I love that Carlton gets to be like kind of a tough guy and a badass. And I love, gosh, what's his face? I'm forgetting everything today, guys, and I'm not even stoned. So maybe that's the problem. Maybe I need to be stoned. Clint Howard going, I'm infested. Classic stuff. So thank you to Kate for off camera handing me some coffee here. Fight the Good Fight says Ribeiro. Ribisi. Jamie, I think that's Giovanni Ribisi. That is, yes. Clint Howard is a god. Yes, he's pretty amazing. He's my favorite part of Leprechaun 2. Maybe the boobs, though. Maybe the boobs were my favorite part of Leprechaun 2. All right. I love bad horror movies. Pieces is in my top 10. I've yet to see Pieces. I need to watch that one. Yeah, so let's hop on over back here, guys. We'll just do like kind of a quick catch up on what I did on the channel here. You guys are so great at watching the videos, so I'm not going to harp on everything, but I figure when we get together for these hangouts, we'll just kind of go over quickly what we did on the channel. So I watched Train to Busan for the first time ever. I had a blast watching that film. I think my only criticism was the hyper focus on the emotion. some of those some of those moments, they just linger on a long while. I feel like you get the point with the emotion. They don't need to linger as much. And I wonder if that's just kind of a stylistic choice as far as like Asian cinema goes, because I noticed in Godzilla Minus One, which I loved. I mean, it reminded me of Jaws, which is my favorite movie, but the emotion was such a huge part of Godzilla Minus One. And while I didn't think they lingered on it too much, I think it was more well measured in Godzilla Minus One. Maybe that is just a stylistic thing that's kind of comes from Asian cinema, because Train to Busan really leans on that. The movie is almost 2 hours, and I feel like if it were closer to like 140, 145, it would probably climb a few spots in my inner head zombie ranking. But man, the acting is really good. The special effects were great. Like I said in my review, it reminded me of Romero, and to me, it paid so much respect to everything that Romero set up. And then they got to play with some of those ideas, kind of make up their own rules a little bit about the zombies. And, I can't blame them for doing fast zombies. And I think they balanced that out well with sort of some of the detriments that the zombies have, as far as like, if you prevent them from seeing, they just kind of stop everything and just sort of wander around aimlessly. So I kind of liked that. And yeah, what a blast. If you haven't seen Train to Busan yet, especially if you're a fan of horror and zombie films, I highly recommend it. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you've seen that movie and what you think. It got some pretty heavy praise when I posted that I was going to watch it on Twitter for the first time. So super pumped on that one. Of course, yesterday we dropped the Friday the 13th franchise ranking. That's the channel's very first franchise ranking. And I probably could have started the channel doing rankings, but I wanted to hold off on stuff like that. Like, I'm a huge Halloween fan and all that, and Evil Dead, and I was sort of like, I didn't want to start the channel trying to tackle some of the things that are like really close, and that I wanted to make sure that I kind of got the ball rolling and was more comfortable in my, in these YouTube shoes before I went ahead and covered those things that are so near and dear to me. So, yeah, and also I just kind of wanted to prove myself a little bit to the audience and get to know you guys a little bit, because while I do appreciate rankings and all that, I see some channels that hop on them right away. No judgment or anything. I mean, do what you want to do. It's your channel. Absolutely. But I think maybe the perception, or maybe I'm wrong about this, but franchise rankings can kind of be like a little clickbaity. Not that it's the worst thing ever to get people's attention, but maybe this will be somebody's first time seeing the channel, and it'll cause them to go in that Davey Death Ray wormhole that I found myself in for so many other channels. So yeah, we're going to be doing, if you missed the top of the show, I'm planning on doing a ranking once a month. That way we create some space for collaborations and other shows. So maybe, once a week there'll be kind of like a special show, and then once a month that show will go through its rotation. So I'll put a poll together on all my socials for, which series you guys want to see next. Right now, the one that was asked for is A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is one of the horror franchises that I'm kind of lukewarm about, other than a few movies. So for me, it's kind of like the first two, kind of the first three, and then Wes Craven's New Nightmare I really like. So, but this gives me a good reason to jump back into that series, give every movie another shot. The remake, give that another shot, because I made it like 15 minutes in before I turned that one off. So I've never watched 2010's A Nightmare on Elm Street all the way through one time. So this will be a good reason to jump in there. So let me know in the chat, and yeah, let me know if you guys, want to see more of those rankings, and especially even like I mentioned in the video, like the fan film rankings. There's a lot of Friday the 13th fan films and a lot of Halloween fan films as well. So not as much, I don't think, on the A Nightmare on Elm Street side, but yeah, let's hop on over to the chat and see what you guys are saying. Holy cow, it's popping off. Dude, you're making me thirsty. What are you drinking? This is just coffee and cream. I stopped putting, I'll put brown sugar in hot coffee, but I only drink hot coffee during football season. I live in Arizona, so not that it's blisteringly hot all year round, but I really enjoy iced coffee. I don't put any sweetener in iced coffee because for me, the milk is enough. So I just do a splash of milk and the coffee, and that's it. Let's see here. All right, you guys are talking amongst yourselves. I love it. Yeah, I gotta see Pieces. It sounds like you guys are talking about Pieces. Thanks, Foz. Have a great rest of your day, man. Hope you can catch up on the rest of the stream. You'll get another mention here, so come on back and check it out. I like Train to Busan, but it could have been 15 minutes shorter. Right on, Ashton. You and I are on the same exact page. I think like a lot of times with movies, that can be my gripe, and maybe that makes me sound a little spoiled or a little not old school enough, although, you know, I was born almost 42 years ago. But yeah, I think sometimes with movies, it's like, let's trim the fat. If we can get in and out between an hour and a half and an hour 40, then great. And of course, certain stories need a little bit longer. But usually if they're a little bit longer and it works, it's because the pacing is better, the editing is better. And yeah, in Train to Busan, I think the pacing and the editing could have been a little better. But I really love it. Fast zombies scare Gavin more if he relates to real life, because imagine trying to get away from the things. Yeah, I totally get you, Gavin. I think that's why fast zombies became a thing. I think that the reason why I like slow zombies, and I think I said this in my stream from last week, is slow zombies to me represent death. So it's going to get you. It's coming for you. It's going to get you. You can board up the doors and board up the windows, but at some point it's going to overwhelm you and it will take you over. And so that's why I think slow zombies are scarier. Because of what they represent and what they symbolize. But I totally agree with you that in like a real life setting, if some rabid, you know, fiendish being with blood all over its face was running at you, that would probably be scarier. However, you know, there are moments like even in the original Night of the Living Dead where all the zombies are like sticking their hands through the boarded up windows. And that's pretty scary too, because at some point you figure it's just the bubble's gonna burst. And it doesn't matter how fast you are, you won't be able to get away. So, but yeah, fast zombies, I think it's all about how the movies do it too. Like 28 Days Later gets more boring to me every time I watch it. And you can make the argument of whether or not they're really zombies, but I think for all intents and purposes, they are zombies. And then in a movie like World War Z, the zombies just look like ants where they're building like bridges and ladders. To me, that's just kind of dumb. I think zombies can be so much scarier without having to resort to that level. But certainly, like Zack Snyder's 2004 Dawn of the Dead is really damn good. I love that movie a lot. It's one of my favorite zombie movies, and it has fast zombies. Haven't seen Train to Busan is what Jamie says, because I'm very picky about zombie movies. Yeah, Jamie, I say give it a shot, especially if you have it's on. It's on Max. Is it on Max? No, that was the long Good Friday was on Max, and I think Train to Busan is Netflix, but it's leaving in April, so check it out. When it comes to A Nightmare on Elm Street, my favorite is Dream Warriors. Yeah, Dream Warriors is great, and you got to see all the classics in the theater. Jamie, if you don't mind me asking, I may have asked last stream, but were you like in high school in the 80s? Like right around, you know, it seems like mid to late 80s, you may have been in that high school age. So what, Dream Warriors was probably like 87 or something like that, 86 or 87. Let's see here, all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies in the theater except for the first one. That's awesome. Yeah, so let's hop back on over. We have 8 concurrent viewers. Oh my gosh. Let's see if we can get the viewership to 15. Go tell a friend, bring them on over, and let's get this baby cooking. All right. So yeah, moving on to the next item. Oh, bing, bing. So we finally it's been a little over 8 months since I started the channel, and finally had a couple videos hit that 1,000 mark. So, you know, I've been sharing so much on social media, so I didn't want to like put another little milestone out there, but I wanted to share this with you guys. Thank you so much for checking out these reaction videos. The one for The Crow had a nice little life the first few days, and then a few days later, it just started like hundreds of views every day. It was totally crazy. So that one took 2 weeks to get up to 2,000. But man, that Beetlejuice within 6 days got up to 1,000. And maybe that's not the biggest deal, but for me, it's something to celebrate. It's really nice to see that. I feel like we've been, working really hard here at the channel, and we've been putting together the best content we can. And it's really cool to see, these videos kind of get some traction, because a lot of them are just kind of meandering around like the 200 view sort of area. And then a few that are, in between 200 and 1,000. But it's really great to see that. It's very encouraging and makes me just want to do more reaction videos. So, as those trailers and stuff come out, if I'm interested, I will cover it. But by no means do I want to turn this into just like a movie news, channel just for the sake of doing movie news. I think there are plenty of people that do that really well. We watched a movie, they cover almost any kind of news. Chris Stanley does an amazing job at covering the news. And so sometimes our content's going to overlap. And hopefully that doesn't rub anyone the wrong way. But I promise that the content that I cover here as far as movie news goes are going to be things that interest me, or at the very least intrigue me, or something that I've really loved for a long time. Like, I've been a fan of Beetlejuice since I was a little kid. So I remember seeing that on VHS right when it came out, and been a fan ever since. So yeah, thank you guys so much for helping us get to the 1,000 views on these 2 videos. And, for any sharing that you might have done, putting the comments in there certainly helps. Speaking of which, if you haven't yet, click that like button for this video. And once it's posted, if you want to come back and leave a comment, whatever I can do to conquer that algorithm and make it my bitch would be great. It's a tough game out there in YouTube. There are so many people doing, creating so much great content. So yeah, thank you guys for that, and we will move on. Let's see if you guys are chit-chatting in the chitty chat. Don't forget to make sure you're set to live chat, not top chat. Thank you so much. It is on top chat. There we go. And usually I think they're right in line. Luckily for me, Jamie, well, maybe not luckily. I think because we don't have so many people in the chat, like if I were, with Slaughtered Lamb and with like Dave McCrae, yeah, top chat probably weeds out a whole bunch. But usually when I go over to live chat, it's pretty much the same. But I really do appreciate the reminder, because we'd like to get there. I'd love to be able to hop on a stream and see 80 people or whatever, It might take a couple years or however long it takes, We're in it for the long haul here. Okay, so Jamie, you're about to turn 51, so you're almost 10 years, you're about 8 years older than me there, or 9 years older than me almost. Yeah, that's, I have siblings that are right around that age as well. I have 4 older siblings, going back from 71, so 71, 72, 71, 72, 75, and 78, or 74 and 78. And then me in 82. So let's go on and get to the next piece of news here. Where was I? There we go. All right, guys. So, sorry about all that shuffling. This weekend is your last chance to get a copy of Never Hike Alone on Blu-ray. There are some special edition packages out there as well. They've got props for sale. They have all sorts of little perks that you can get. I don't know how many of the perks are open at this point, but yeah, please go over there and think about contributing. Womp Stomp Films, even outside of what they do with their fan films for Friday the 13th, they've got a really good thing going over there. The creative minds are hard at work. I'm sure a lot of you guys know everything that, Vincent DeSanti has been doing, and the years of labor, thought, passion, and fandom that go into what he does over there with Womp Stomp. And not only that, but he, brings his talents to projects like Dylan's New Nightmare. I think there was Jason Rising. I'm probably missing a couple others, so I apologize for that. But yeah, it's not just about Womp Stomp for him. It's about lifting up this community, which is, something that we talked about earlier here in the stream. So I urge you guys to hop on over to the Indiegogo for Never Hike Alone 2 and purchase a copy on Blu-ray. I think that ends, excuse me, I think that ends tomorrow night at midnight. So you've got about a day and a half to get that done. And yeah, the link is in the description, so feel free to just click that. There's also a link in the description so you can check out Never Hike Alone 2 if you haven't seen it. Or if you have seen it, why not watch it again? I mentioned this in my review. My brother was fortunate enough to work on the project, so there are a few shots there, most notably when the hospital goes red and Jason goes on his rampage in the hospital. My brother worked on that shot where Jason kind of has the nurse dipped and he's like sliced her stomach open. When that shot where all the guts are hanging out, that beautiful wide shot, my brother worked on kind of touching up some of those guts, tearing up the shirt, just adding some things that weren't there already in the effects. He does matte painting. So he also did, there's a shot of the hospital. So he did like some lightning bolts in the storm. And then the two campers that get killed towards the beginning of the film, he did a shot of the back of the guy's head. So you see like a wound on the back of the head, and he kind of dressed that up because just, you know, make it look a little more realistic. So kind of just adding to what was already there, all the great effects work, a bunch of talented people on these projects. So yes, please check out the film if you haven't seen it before, or even if you have. And yes, go over to the Indiegogo, purchase a copy. These are the kinds of people we need to be supporting, guys. Supporting, you know, hardworking, independent artists. It's one of the best things you can do with your money, in my opinion. That's one of the reasons why I love going to conventions. You get to see unique pieces of art. So I know I've got, you know, kind of some classic posters up here, but you will notice, you know, if you look at what I've got. So yeah, of course, the Evil Dead. That's just a standard Evil Dead poster. But the Jaws piece right here, that was bought at a convention. That's made out of metal. So the artist that created it does all these great metal pieces. So yeah, it's got a little, you can kind of hear that hopefully. And then yeah, the posters back here, the Halloween and then the Dawn of the Dead. Ooh, there we go. I just like having these posters that are kind of different looking. I do have John Carpenter's The Thing, a little poster there, signed by John Carpenter. You probably can't tell. Just like the Dawn of the Dead is signed by Ken Foree. And then my buddy Cole Chitty did this Jaws poster here for me because I won a contest on his one of his social medias. And I actually have an interview with Cole that I'm in the middle of editing now. We talked for like 3 hours, and so I try to whittle those interviews down to about an hour. This one's gonna probably go longer, or I might do a two-parter, but something that I just wanted to work on in the background, kind of gain some more steam with the channel, and then put that out there, you know, so you guys can check that out here. I'm looking to drop that by next weekend. And then, of course, you see the Michael Myers here, and then my Mystery Science Theater guys. I know they're kind of obscured, but yeah, these are two unique pieces of art that I got here. The Michael Myers I picked up at a punk rock festival. That's a really nice piece. I know my microphone's kind of covering it, but it's Rob Zombie's Michael. And while I'm not the biggest fan of the Rob Zombie, his initial remake, I do love H2 though. I love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. More on that later. But I do like the look of Michael from that film. I got nothing wrong with that. So yeah. And let's see what you guys are saying. I know I'm probably falling behind. Oh, Gavin, I could never forget about you. Never. You guys are like, I know I say it at the end of every stream. I love you guys. The people that are here on the ground level, you guys are always going to have a special place here at the channel. Like, I promise you that, and I will not forget anybody. It's not the kind of guy I am. I carve out time as much as I can for everyone, and, you know, if I can't carve out the time, then I at least feel like somebody's owed an explanation and owed a smidge of my time just so we can get some sort of interaction, right? So I appreciate that, but, you know, don't worry. You guys are right here, all right? Gene says, I see you're a fan of MST3K. Yes, it's my favorite television show of all time. It changed my life. To me, I view life as one big Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode. One thing that show taught me is that kind of philosophy that like our lives are the bad movies we have to watch, and the way to survive it and the way to get through it and keep your sanity is to not take yourself too seriously, not take it too seriously, and poke some fun at it with your friends and your loved ones. So yeah. Let's see here. Gavin, you're a few years younger than me. Don't worry. I love seeing you guys chat here. Fight the Good Fight was born in 77. All right. There we are. Jaws is the reason I am a movie and horror fan. Yes, Jamie. Me too. Me too. It's my favorite film of all time. Saw it when I was 3 years old. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. I think I probably saw it, on VHS, probably 5 years old, 5 or 6. I fell in love with sharks and fell in love with movies right after. What's happening, Paul? Good to see you, bud. We have Evil Monsterism in the chat. Great to see you, Paul. Let's see here. Hey, Davey, are you a metal fan? Metal and horror tend to go together. Fight the Good Fight. I am a metal fan. However, I probably am not as well versed in it. I would consider myself way more punk rock is my favorite kind of music. So, and I think that punk rock and horror go together too. And I think punk and metal go together because I think there are so many similar influences. A lot of punk rock that I grew up listening to is like NoFX, Lagwagon, Bad Religion, Face to Face, that kind of stuff. And NoFX and Lagwagon, especially the older Lagwagon, there are so many influences. Like I hear a lot of Motorhead influence and Iron Maiden influence. As far as metal goes, love Motorhead, love Iron Maiden. Megadeth is my jam as far as metal goes. That's my favorite metal band. And I think Megadeth does a great job of blending punk and metal too. I would say their brand of thrash, to me, sounds very punk rock. And very influenced by Motorhead. Every now and then Dave just has one of those songs that's just got this dun 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 dun, just kind of like a train moving on the tracks. Very reminiscent of the way Motorhead would kind of bring in a rockabilly sound with their metal. That to me makes Motorhead stand out. And of course, Lemmy's awesome gruff voice. But I'm a huge Megadeth fan. I've got a whole bunch of their records in the collection. Rust in Peace, I don't care what other records came out in the 90s. Rust in Peace is not only the best metal record in the 90s, I think it's the best metal record of all time. And I challenge anyone to tell me any different and see if you can convince me otherwise. But you're right, they do go together. Ashton can't stand RZH2. I totally get it, man. You guys have probably heard me say this on the channel. I'm really similar to like the way Dave McRae views things, where it's like, I would never judge anyone for their taste in a movie. And usually I can understand why. I get why people don't like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And I get why they prefer his remake over Halloween 2. But to me, I sort of feel like the opposite. I'm just sort of like, we don't need the remake. We never needed a remake. And I like when, a movie series takes some chances. So, I like Halloween Ends. And a lot of people don't like that movie. And I totally understand that too. If you're looking for a Michael Myers movie, Halloween Ends ain't it. But also there are a lot of people that really love Season of the Witch, and that doesn't have Michael in it. Although it never really presented itself as a Michael movie, but at the time it came out, I think people expected that there would be some sort of overlap, and there wasn't at all, other than the commercial that's on the TV in the bar. Not a big fan, not a big Punk guy, but SLC Punk is one of my favorite movies. Yep, Gavin, SLC Punk is fucking awesome. I love that movie. Great soundtrack, great performances. Matthew Lillard really gets to show his range as far as comedic range, and then going to some like really heavy drama. Very believable performances. Man, what a movie. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but I'm going to revisit it in April because it's coming up on its on an anniversary. I think 25 years, something like that. So yeah. Let's see here. Ace of Spades and Hellraiser are awesome Motorhead songs. Yeah, Ace of Spades is, I know I'm gonna lose, cause gambling for fools, but that's the way I like it, baby. I don't wanna live forever. Yeah, good shit. And Ace of Spades is the theme song to Zombie Nightmare, which is a great Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode. If you haven't watched it, you can find all those episodes on YouTube, so check it out. The newer MST3K is okay, but the Joel and Mike era, the first 10 seasons are the best. Especially seasons 3 through 6. Oh, so many great episodes. I think seasons 3 through 6 all have 24 episodes each. So many amazing episodes there. So, and some of the funniest people I've ever seen on Mystery Science Theater. Funny and creative. I love Halloween Ends and Season of the Witch. There we go, Ashton. See, and that's the great thing too about fandom, and just reminding ourselves to not take those opinions and stuff too seriously. Which clearly, I can tell you're a cool guy. I know some people do get wrapped up in their feelings on movies, and sometimes it seems like they behave like they were a part of the production. They take it really personally, but I think what it's all about is sort of understanding why we like something, why we don't. To be able to articulate those things is a skill. And, it's nice to just get that conversation going, because you never know. Like, you could talk about a movie with someone and explain what you see in it that maybe they've been missing. And the next time they go and watch that movie, they remember what you said, and perhaps they see that in the film too. And even if it doesn't completely bring them over, maybe it just moves the needle a little bit, right? And they get more enjoyment out of it. And I think that's kind of the way we can view not only like the way we enjoy art, but also like the way we view each other. That can even like spill into politics and the socio-political kind of stuff that we believe in as people. It's talking with each other, having a conversation, being open to different opinions. And most of all, just being respectful of each other and doing our best to communicate. I think that's the big thing, is like open communication should definitely be encouraged. And that's why you'll rarely see me clapping back in the comments. Every now and then, if somebody just puts something that they don't even back up what they say, I'm just sort of like, well, great. Like, I mean, how are we supposed to have, like, if you just tell me a movie's shit, but you can't like back it up, then how is that going to convince me? All I'm going to think of is like, well, you can't even articulate it, right? So it's like, we should be able to articulate our opinions. It doesn't take a genius to articulate an opinion. I'm certainly not a genius, but I am a massive nerd. So let's see here. Personally, I love RZ's Halloween movies. I get why some don't. Yeah, Jamie, I'm right there with you as far as I understand. Yeah. Gavin, Matthew Lillard is a god. I'm not gay, but I would kiss him on the mouth. That's hilarious. Hey, and kissing somebody on the mouth, I guess it doesn't necessarily mean you're one way or the other, right? But I hear you. Matthew Lillard is an amazing performer. He's electric, right? When Matthew Lillard is in a film, no matter what it is, he just draws you right in. I don't care if it's She's All That or Scream or Five Nights at Freddy's, or 13 Ghosts. Like, whatever Matthew Lillard is in, there's something about his performance, his voice, his eyes, and his range, right? Like I said with SLC Punk, he can be so dynamic. Sometimes he reaches like Jim Carrey levels of hilarity and over the topness, if that's even a phrase I can use. Especially like in Scream, I think he has a couple moments where you're like, oh, you're verging on like a little bit of a Jim Carrey-ish kind of thing, which was, starting to be really popular right at the time that Scream came out. That really over the top. I'm not opposed to anthology stuff. I'm opposed to them promising a Michael Myers film and then not just doing that at all. Yeah, Paul. And I think I've said this before, but with the lead up of Halloween Ends, I was watching, like, I wasn't watching spoiler stuff, but when David Gordon Green came out and he did an interview with Entertainment Weekly, I think, and he just sort of dropped the news on Corey. So he was like, hey, we want everyone to know that there is a character in this movie that's going to be kind of a focal point. The movie is going to kind of hinge on this new character named Corey Cunningham. So, with them sort of prepping for that, I went into the movie fully expecting a different experience. And I know a lot of people stayed away from all the news. So if you stayed away from the news, you had no idea that there was going to be like, that this B story was kind of going to become the A story. I totally get why people felt like it was a curveball that, a curveball that pissed him off instead of pleasantly surprised him. Whereas I knew the curve was coming. So the pitcher tipped his pitch on that one. And the whole time I was sitting there, my wife and I, Kate and I, went and saw it in IMAX. The whole time I'm sitting there, I was along for the ride. I was so pumped on everything I was seeing. I think it's a gorgeous movie with an amazing soundtrack. Once Corey puts on the Michael gear, especially that scene in the junkyard, like, to me, it's Michael. Like, the scene in the junkyard and the scene at the radio station, those are some of the best kills in that whole trilogy. So I think that's really cool. And not only that, but he sort of has that like popped collar. There's a shot there. It might be the shot right before he stomps the girl's head at the junkyard, where he straight up looks like Dick Warlock from Halloween 2. Let me know in the chat if you guys ever had that thought. I think that shot is even in the trailer. Let me know if I'm alone on that one, because there are just certain shots where I'm like, man, he reminds me of Dick Warlock. A little bit more of a robotic walk, even when he walks from the truck to the radio station. And I think that shot is kind of an homage to Halloween 4, where he drives the tow truck. Halloween 4, where he has the tow truck and you see it on that crane shot. They kind of did that in Halloween Ends. So I think there's a lot to enjoy in Halloween Ends if you go into it knowing what you're in for, right? And I think sometimes with like odd movies, that's kind of like what you got to do. Like if you go and watch, Wes Craven's New Nightmare and you're just expecting it to be another Nightmare on Elm Street movie, you're going to be pissed. Like it kind of is, but Freddy looks totally different. The whole meta thing takes a huge leap from anything that had been done before, whether in Jason Lives or the previous Friday the 13th or A Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So yeah, you could, imagine audiences going to see Wes Craven's A New Nightmare and being really upset with it. And then fast forward to now, where a lot of people put that in their like top 3. Some people say it's their favorite film of all time. So I think Halloween Ends. I'm not saying that it's going to be in 20 years, everyone's going to love it. But I do think in 20 years, we're going to look back and say, well, that's a damn good movie. And it stands out amongst the bunch. And that's another reason why I like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Because it stands out. What's happening, Coy? Great to see you in the chat. I know I'm a little late. I had to finish that diatribe. It looks like you get the same feeling as the Dick Warlock feeling. Is that what you're saying there? Talking about Ends. So let me see here. Matthew. Save Dead Man's Curve. Oh yeah, Dead Man's Curve. And that's, what else is that movie called? It's called something, it has a couple different names. Soul Survivors or something like that. Let's see here. Came around on End. Still don't think it's amazing way to end the trilogy, but it's a good movie. I totally can understand that as well. If the ending were different, then I may have even liked it more. I wanted something else there at the end. I definitely didn't want Corey to die. I wanted that to be left up in the air because I thought it would have been cool if they, continued it or did a side movie where Corey is still doing the Michael thing. The Dick Warlock feeling sounds so dirty. Yeah, you love that Dick feeling. I mean, the Dick Warlock feeling. Even that sound like, well, it's like a nickname. Like, oh man, he's a real Dick Warlock. Like if you really think Matthew Lillard's a god, are you almost a Dick Warlock? Joking. I'm joking. All right, let's see what else we got here. I'm totally lost on where we were. Okay. So yeah, we covered Never Hike Alone. Go check that Indiegogo out if you haven't bought a copy, and check out the film, even if you have seen it. The links are in the description below. Let's follow that up with some Slaughtered Lamb movie podcast love. I'm sure a lot of you guys already subbed there, so we don't need to linger too much on this one. But yeah, last week on their Sunday live stream, Darren and Frank kind of like brought the whole show to a screeching halt when I dropped this comment about Superman Returns. Guys, I fucking hate Superman Returns. The way people feel about Halloween Ends, I feel that way about Superman Returns. I feel like everything interesting about Superman, like the few interesting things about his character that really make him relatable, they completely throw in the damn garbage bin in Superman Returns. I think it's Bryan Singer's, other than his personal issues, I think it's his greatest failure in every single way. So anyways, they brought everything to a halt, and Darren was just sort of, man, it blew my mind away. I was like listening to my earbud while doing some stuff in the house, and I couldn't believe it, the stuff he was saying. I just, when you start doing this YouTube thing, you never expect, you certainly hope that you're going to reach people, that you're going to reach an audience, and that at some point you're going to gain the respect of other content creators, because this stuff is, not only is it hard work to like technically put everything together, especially if it's not like, I'm not used to doing video editing or anything like that, but then also just being comfortable enough with your personality for people to see something within you that they're willing to share, and they're going to put their stamp on it and kind of endorse you. So, all the sweet things that Darren said about hanging out with Kate and I in Pasadena, and Frank's comments about my shirts, which I had no idea that my shirts were a thing, but now I gotta like keep that game up. So I have to go shopping for like new shirts to make sure I can constantly impress Frank. It's gonna be a whole big issue. But yeah, really sweet of those guys to share the love. I was at like 408 subscribers before they mentioned that on the show, and within minutes we were at like 423. And as of today, we're sitting at like 455. And a lot of people that have come in lately have expressly written in the comments section that it was this stream that brought them over. So a big thanks to those guys. I dedicated the Friday the 13th franchise ranking video to them because they create such great content. They're also really great dudes that bring that sense of community to the YouTube family, which I think is so important. They lead by a great example, and yeah, hopefully in the future I'd be able to hop on and do something with them. It would be a pleasure and a joy, but for now I will continue to enjoy them from a distance and in the chat rooms, and yeah, we'll just see what happens. But big ups on those guys for that. And then yeah, let's what else do we have here? Oh, I almost spoiled that one. I just want to hop on over and make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat here. All I saw about Ends going into it, comments calling it different and divisive. Yeah, from that, I went in expecting a Michael Myers movie with some added thing like the Cult of Thorn. Yeah, and Paul, it kind of, it doesn't go Cult of Thorn, but there is that whole sense that like something's up with Haddonfield, right? Like even outside of Michael, all the suicides, the way that people are dealing with the trauma, like collectively. So it's not just about Jamie Lee Curtis talking about Laurie's trauma. This seems to be a city that no matter what cannot let this go. Which I think gives more credence, like going back from Halloween Ends. If you go back to H18, everyone's like, why is Laurie so messed up? From Michael killing like 4 people 40 years ago. It's not even that big of a deal. But in Halloween Ends, we see that the whole town is greatly affected by this, even though Michael at that point hadn't been around for another couple years. There's just something going on in Haddonfield. And so I kind of feel like that's part of it too. And I do think there's some really subtle social commentary in that one, whereas the commentary in Kills, they kind of smack you over the head. But I think the commentary in Ends is kind of like, we all have the capacity for good and for evil. And that if you tell somebody enough that they're one thing and you keep on putting them in that position, especially if it's something negative, then don't be surprised when they fully accept it and become that and then make you pay for it. So I think that's kind of like there's like a lesson there about how we treat each other. And, even the people that you don't like or the people that make your skin crawl, whether they're public figures or people in your life, maybe just taking a step back and not necessarily even using kindness, but just taking a break from the negativity will be better for you in the long run. And it won't affect them, either way, right? You're only going to affect them negatively probably if you feel that way. So don't want to get on a whole thing about that, but yeah. And what do we have next here, guys? Oh my goodness. Yes, I wanted to share with you guys a few little teaser tidbits. Now this thumbnail? Yeah, I'm going to cut off my thumb and send it to you guys. It's called a thumbnail. Gavin, remember when I said that I would never forget you no matter how big the channel gets? I'm sending you my thumb, so you'll never forget me. So this thumbnail is not finished yet, obviously. I'm going to put myself and Kate in there. But I wanted to give you guys a taste of what we're going to do for Movie Date with Davey and Kate. We're going to shoot the first episode tonight. So we revisited Scream yet again this last week and even put on Scream 2 last night. But this video is going to cover our initial thoughts when we first saw the movie. We're going to talk like overall feelings on the film, all the references in it, what it did for horror moving forward, especially slashers, and that whole kind of teen slasher trend that picked up there in the mid to late 90s. It kind of spilled over into the early 2000s a little bit. And then, yeah, we'll talk about the performances, the kills, the killer reveal, just kind of hit on all those points. And it's going to be sort of like this. It's not going to be live, but it is going to be a little more conversational. So it's going to be kind of stripped down. And yeah, I want to do, this is one of those, monthly shows. So, every month we'll put out an episode of Movie Date with Davey and Kate, and every month we'll do a ranking. Hopefully every month I can do a collaboration. So, time will tell on that one. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys a little tease here on the thumbnail. So yeah, we're going to shoot this tonight and aim to have it out for you next week. Probably have to spend some time in the editing room on that one just to make sure it's nice and tight and well worth your time. I imagine these episodes might run like a half hour. So hopefully that's not a problem for you guys. I try to keep the videos like, you'll see on the channel anywhere from like 6 to 20 minutes depending on the content. But I think with something like this, and especially having two people go back and forth, I think about a half hour, 40 minutes, something like that. I like videos like that sometimes because it's cool to put something on and then just sort of like hop in the shower and get ready for work, or, whatever like you're doing, you can just put it on and listen in the background. So yeah. And then let me just check in, make sure I'm not missing too much here. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, I'm missing so much. The Dick Warlock feeling. I'm going to be honest, whether or not Ends is a good movie, it's a horrible end to the trilogy. I hear you on that, Coy. I'm not going to put up a fight on that one. Yeah, they should have put Corey. I've said it before here, and I am going to do a series called How to Make It Better. I would have put Corey in 2018 and kind of laid some breadcrumbs for that. He doesn't even have to be in Kills, but at least 2018. So when he comes back and Ends, we know what the hell's going on, and we can kind of see how there's that connective tissue. Dick Warlock sounds like a Dungeons and Dragons character. It absolutely does. That's awesome. If I play D&D, that would be my character name. Ashton, Superman Returns sucks. Yes. Maybe I need to do a video, veer off of horror for a bit, because you guys know I'm a big fan of all sorts of media and all sorts of film. It would be fun to tear into Superman Returns because it's effing ridiculous what they do in that movie. Like, seriously, one thing really quick on Superman Returns. When he lands on Kryptonite Island, first off, if it had kryptonite in it, he wouldn't be able to fly. As he approaches the island, he would have fell in the water and he would have drowned underneath the island. Second off, if he lands on the island, he would have been like puking and sick, and he would have known. He acts surprised when he goes to punch the henchman and it doesn't work. He would have known that he's standing on Kryptonite Island. And then when they stab him, he has a piece of kryptonite in his body, and he's still able to pick up Kryptonite Island and fly it into space. So you're taking the one thing, the one weakness that Superman has, and you're just throwing it out the window, which to me just solidifies all the negative stuff that people say about Superman, that he's not interesting and that he's not relatable. That movie spits in the face of everyone that's defended Superman for being interesting and relatable. Yeah, you can't take away that one weakness. It's absurd. Like, it really rubs me the wrong way. And I know this isn't popular, and this has nothing to do with his personal issues. I've felt this way since I watched the movie. I think Kevin Spacey is like the worst cast for Lex. I think he plays it so terribly. I'm really tired of seeing Lex in movies, honestly. I think they just put him in every single movie. It's so tiresome. Even the Joker doesn't get put in as many Batman movies, so it's just too much. Anyways. I heard about this film from Dave. This movie is on Netflix. It's called The Ritual. I've yet to see The Ritual, and I really need to see it because I've heard great things, and Netflix recommends it to me all the time. So that's something I got to see, and I'll probably do an episode of I Finally Watched It for that one. What's happening, Field of Screams podcast? Welcome to the chat. We've got 9 people in here right now, guys. Let's try to make it to 15. Go tell a friend. Spread the news. Start spreading the news. All right, this is great. Love seeing you guys here popping in the chat. Let's move on to our next little item here. Already covered that. Ooh, this is a fun one. Hopefully Foz doesn't get too upset with me on this one. But Foz and I are working on a little something, and I just wanted to give you guys a tease, because we are dropping basically the announcement this coming week. So this is an exclusive for you folks in the chat right now. I'm going to pop it off here so you don't have too much time to look at it. But this is just the tease, and then the thumbnail will come later. Not sure if you guys know what this is offhand, but I'm really excited because I've got some collaborations working here. A handful. They're all kind of coming together at once. It's really cool. Like, I started putting together one collab, and then it was just like popcorn. Like, it just like all over the place, collaboration after collaboration. So really looking forward to working with some other content creators. And yeah, by all means, guys, if you have your own channel, you got something going, and you think that you and I could, we've got like a topic that we could have a mutual interest in and a mutual passion for, then hit me up. I'd love to, do something on your channel. And, that's what we're here for, is to connect with the audience, connect with other content creators, and be here for that community aspect for sure. So I'm really excited about that. Woo, there's another quick look at it. And then, yeah, another collaboration we have cooked up for you. Chris Snyder from Movie Misfits was in the chat earlier. I'm sure he's busy doing something now. I haven't seen him post in the chat for a little bit, but we put together a little something because we have really similar interests. So we were like, what can we work together on? And we started looking at what movies have, anniversaries coming up and stuff like that. And I noticed that Temple of Doom is turning 40 this May, and The Last Crusade is turning 35 in May. So they both have some pretty big milestone birthdays. So Chris and I are going to be covering the entire Indiana Jones franchise, and I am pumped. This is going to be May 12th is the date that we're kicking around. So I can't remember, is that a Sunday or a Saturday? Let me check. Maybe I can't check right now. So yeah, that weekend of May 12th, we're going to be I think it's going to be a live stream, and we're going to talk about the whole franchise. Now, I haven't seen Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I have not seen Dial of Destiny yet. So I'm going to have to hop on watching those movies and take some notes and everything like that. But I'm excited to, experience those. I haven't heard many good things, but it'll be able to sort of put the other films in perspective, because I really enjoy the first three films. It's tough to pick a favorite, and I don't want to, bury the lead here by giving anything away. But I do really enjoy those first three films, and I'm really pumped to do something with Chris because, I dig his personality. If you guys haven't checked out his channel yet, there's a link in the description below. So go ahead and check out and subscribe. And I think on YouTube, you can do a simultaneous stream, simulcast or whatever they call it. So I'd like to have it on my channel and on his channel, just so it's easy for everyone to reach, just in case. I'd imagine that maybe, he clearly has subs that I don't have, because he's got thousands, and maybe some of you guys don't sub to him quite yet. So I'd really like everyone to be able to check that out. So be on the lookout for that. We'll, make an announcement and get everything scheduled, and then start sharing that thumbnail once we've got that cooked up. And then, this is a really cool thing from this week. Barry over at Wolfman's Got Nards. Do you guys sub to Barry's channel? Let me know in the comments section below. I want to jump in here just to check it out. Gavin says, Night of the Demons. The movie that got me into Bauhaus. Yeah. I think that's really cool that a film can sort of get you into a band, that the music can kind of bring you over a little bit. That's really cool. Going back to, talking about that Crow reaction, when the original Crow came out, the soundtrack was massive. And that might have been the first time I heard bands like Helmet, I think. I was a big fan of Stone Temple Pilots at that point, and they've got Big Empty is on that soundtrack. But yeah, a soundtrack can be a great way to find out about other bands. So the Jerky Boys soundtrack, the movie isn't the best, but the soundtrack turned me on to bands like Superchunk and even L7, who I think I had heard of L7 at that point, but I don't know if I'd actually listened to them. So yeah, I think that soundtracks can be, a movie. Movies and music are very closely tied together, of course. None of my friends remotely like horror, like none of your real life buds, so you have to come here on YouTube. Yeah, I think horror is something that, sometimes when you start talking to people about your horror fandom, they can kind of look at you like, are you okay? Not everyone gets it, right? But yeah, it's it's funny. It's like we've hosted a couple parties here at our house, Kate and I, and a lot of our friends are older. Excuse me, older. Sound like friggin' Peter Brady over here. A lot of our friends are older, and when they look around, they're like, they're like, wow, you guys like have the guts to like, put your fandoms like on the wall. Like we have vinyl, framed vinyl on the wall. I've got this really big Jaws poster. It's a custom made Jaws poster on the wall, some custom horror art. And, a lot of people, especially in Arizona, I feel like a lot of them, you go to like, Michael's or wherever the heck, like you go to IKEA and you just like buy the art pieces that are there and throw them up. So a lot of times, in a place like Arizona, you see pictures of people's homes or you go into people's homes and it's sort of like art that, a lot of people have. It's just kind of like, it's pop art, and there's nothing wrong with that. I totally understand just wanting your, home to be a place where you can like relax and it doesn't look like a teenager's bedroom. But I kind of like finding that medium, like we've got some nicer posters. Kate has a few Eric Church posters that are really sweet. They've got like, it's not like glitter, but they've got like kind of the shimmery, I'm struggling to find the word right now. Iridescent, is that like an iridescence about them that, just beautiful art, like the kind of poster that you put it in a frame and you hang it and it looks awesome. So that's what I like being able to do. And yeah, I think that not everyone gets that fight the good fight, and evil monsterism. It's almost too easy to roast the things they like right back at them. Yeah, because it's like, well, what do you like? Are you like what do you just watch This Is Us and whatever like reality shows are on TV? Like, do you even? And of course, like if you like those things, I'm not trying to call anyone out. I'm just saying sometimes it's like, are you picking what you digest as far as entertainment and art goes? Or is someone else picking for you? Is the establishment picking for you? Again, not everything the establishment does or not everything in the pop world or right down the middle lane is like necessarily bad. I just think there are very few things in the middle lane that are great. And that's fine. Like I do love some of that middle lane stuff, but it has to be really special, for me to get to that point, I think. And especially to sustain it. Even something like Star Wars. It's like now you kind of have to qualify your fandom for one of the biggest, intellectual properties of all time. You're like, oh, I'm a big Star Wars fan. And when I say that, I'm like, oh, well, shit. The last movie I really liked a lot was The Force Awakens. Like, I wasn't head over heels with Rogue One. Like, it's fine, but it wasn't necessary. So yeah, it's like, it's kind of that way with music sometimes where you're like, man, their first 3 records were great. And I don't know what the hell happened after that, I have my Giallo book displayed on a stand because I'm elegant. Right next to my Creed. Yeah, I can't get into Creed, but hey, more power to you if you're a true Creed fan. Yeah, I can't jive with that too much. Maybe it's just because it was really popular when I was growing up and I just wasn't into it then. But getting back to Wolfman's Got Nards here, we are working on a little something, so another collaboration there. I've watched Barry for years. I love what he does on the channel. I think he's smart, he's introspective, he brings up topics and talks about movies that not everyone is talking about as far as like that kind of nostalgia drip, especially like movies like Urban Legend and The Faculty. It's no secret that I think his fandom for those films rises above what most creators are putting out there on YouTube. So really cool to have him share the channel. Again, just like Darren and Frank from The Slaughtered Lamb, it's humbling and encouraging to see these guys share this stuff, and I'm really looking forward to working with Barry on our video. And I won't spoil what we've got going, but yeah, it'll be fun. And what the heck? Oh yeah, so we are moving right. I think that's the last thing I have to share. Oh my gosh, we're all done with the catch-up news. And I guess the last thing here that we can kind of talk about is baseball season has started. Yeah, I'm a Yankee fan. I've been a Yankee fan for, oh gosh, going back to like 87, 88, something like that. I was like 5 or 6. I love the old school, like DiMaggio, Gehrig, Mantle, Ruth. Just the fact that the Yankees were like that dynasty that like, made everyone fall in love with baseball, it seems. I kind of think sports sort of need those franchises that people can sort of glom onto, and it helps the whole brand, with basketball, it's the Lakers and Celtics, and then, football, it's Cowboys, Steelers, and then more as of late, it's like Patriots and Chiefs. You kind of see people brought into that world because of these teams and the what the fandom brings. So yeah, I'm not sure if you guys are baseball fans, but let me know in the comments below. I've yet to watch a game yet because I've been working and putting stuff together. But I see that my Yanks have taken down those friggin' cheating bastard Astros and made them look stupid in the process. That's my favorite thing. You win 5-4, they look like fools. You win 7-1, and not only did you just bludgeon them and win outright, but they also looked like fools. So I love seeing the Astros get their comeuppance. Sorry if you're an Astros fan. You had a lot to be proud of before all that cheating crap came out, but that's pretty rough, and I can't believe that baseball didn't take away that World Series from them. I think it's shameful that they didn't do that. Hardcore Red Sox fan. There we go. We got something in common. We're rivals. Yeah, I kind of wish that Boston and New York, I wish that rivalry would rise up. I wish both teams were better and that it really would be this I loved when it was like every year in the playoffs. I like that kind of stuff. So I think it's fun when the Red Sox are good. I think the AL East is a really competitive division. I like seeing the Orioles get a little tougher. Of course, the Rays have been really tough with their pitching the last handful of years. So I'd rather be in a really tough division because then you're battle tested going into the playoffs. So the last thing you want is to have it on easy street. You get in the playoffs and you're knocked out. That first round in baseball is brutal. 3 games. That's all you get. So, Kate's a big Dodgers fan, and even my family, a lot of my family are Orioles fans because they grew up in the Bowie, Maryland area. So both of those teams last year were 2 of the best teams in baseball, especially 2 best teams in their respective conferences. And they're out in the first round because you lose 1 game and then you're on the hottest seat. You have to win that second game just to get a third. I wish baseball would kind of go the hockey route. And I think basketball does this too, where the first round is 5 games. All you're going to do is, sell more advertising. So I think for MLB, it's just good business to do start with a 5-game series. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Yeah, and I can totally understand if some of you are like, what the hell is this guy talking about now? He's talking about sports? Who is this nerd? Yeah, I'm a huge nerd. And, I've said this before on the channel. I'd be at punk shows and stuff. I'd find that one person that I could talk to about like sports, and other people would come up and they'd be like, "Oh, you jocks." And it's like, it's so funny how that's how you can be viewed just for having like a fandom that falls outside of like punk rock. But I like to think of myself as an eclectic guy. Certainly I am opinionated, and there are things that I don't really let in too much. But yeah, I have a lot of interests, as I'm sure, you guys do as well. So this is a place where we can share those things and not have to worry about that judgment and just find that commonality, right? Like even with Fight the Good Fight, our commonality is that we're rivals. It's pretty cool. And I'm a big Michigan Wolverines fan because my dad went to college there. He got his master's in Ann Arbor. So if any of you guys are Ohio State fans, then we got another rivalry right there. Mud Nelson is South Jersey, so it's Phillies country around here. Take that hat off. Well, at least we're not like conference rivals, right, Gavin? Like I think I can roll with this, right? I got nothing against the Phillies. But I understand why you have something against the Phillies or against the Yankees, because I think we beat you guys in a World Series. So I get it. But I love Philadelphia. I've been to Jersey just a little bit. And I know that they're all kind of right there, like New York, Jersey, and Philly are, all in that spot. So I did spend some time in Newark for a little bit. And I've been to Philly a few times for a couple different reasons. Kate and I worked on the Wizard World Comic Con, and we spent a weekend in Philly. And I flew out there for a hardcore show, like a weekend of hardcore shows back in like '07. There's a band called Paint It Black that's a hardcore band. If you guys like hardcore, you like punk rock, I highly recommend Paint It Black. They are one of the best hardcore bands I've ever heard. Amazing lyrics, such urgency in what they do. There's a toughness about the band. On one hand, they remind me of like Black Flag, and then they've also got kind of the speed of like Minor Threat. So it's sort of like that thoughtfulness of Black Flag and the creativity of Black Flag mixed with the urgency of Minor Threat. And their singer, Dan Yeeman, was in my favorite band of all time, Lifetime, from New Brunswick, New Jersey. And he's also a doctor. So he's a psychiatrist, and he works with like at-risk teens. So, you know, not only does he talk the talk as far as what his lyrics provide, very uplifting and challenging lyrics about building community, but then he also walks that walk in his professional life. So I think it's really cool. I think it's, you know, more proof that just, you know, just like you guys were saying about how people look at you kind of strange or they don't really get your horror fandom. I think a lot of people don't really get like metal and punk fandom, and I think they're wrong. I think that there are some beautiful people in these corners and in these niches that you know, we just gotta open our minds a little bit. You know, and I mean that for everyone, myself included. I'm not like telling everyone they're bad. I'm not a Disney movie here trying to tell you how to live your life. Let's go Mets is what Gene says. All right. Yeah, you know, I got nothing against the Mets. Again, I guess as a Yankees fan, you don't have to worry too much about the Mets, right? You're not even in the same conference. And when you've met in the World Series, you've taken care of them. And yeah. Let's see here. I'm just going to catch up a little bit on the chat. It's kind of small, so excuse me while I squint. Gene, thank you so much for putting the endorsement out there. Yes, if you haven't subscribed yet, please click that button. I'd imagine you guys are all subscribed. Also, if you haven't clicked like here, you know, hop out of the chat really quick, hit that like button, hop back in if you're doing it on your, you know, if you're following on your phone. And yeah, share it with others. You know, the algorithm is really picky. And everything you guys can do, even if you drop into a comment and you just do like a thumbs up in the comment, or you just say like the vid, like all that stuff. And I know it's like I'm begging here, but all that stuff really helps the channel. Ultimately, it helps us get to where we want to eventually be, right? And it'll get this chat just like filled up. We'll build this community. We'll get more and more involved with you guys. I can't wait to see where everything goes here. So yeah, I live down in Little Old Cape May, where The Prowler was filmed. Gavin, that is awesome. I absolutely adore The Prowler. It is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite slashers, period. It is maybe my favorite like standalone slasher. I'm trying to think. You know, Thanksgiving is technically standalone, but not really because they've already announced a sequel. So we know that there's going to be more. I would say like The Prowler and My Bloody Valentine, the original My Bloody Valentine, but I think I like The Prowler more because Savini's effects are great. And Joseph Zito, the director, he also did Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I think he finds a really, like the way he shoots the kill scenes, there's a, like that movement of the camera. There's just like an intensity and a brutality that he captures so well. And, you know, some people might say that The Prowler is like a ripoff of My Bloody Valentine, but it was released, I think when I did my My Bloody Valentine video, I researched that. You know, My Bloody Valentine came out in like January or February, and then I think The Prowler came out in like late summer or something like that. So I'd imagine The Prowler was already shot. So they are very similar as far as spurned ex-lovers, and that whodunit revenge kind of thing is definitely, you know, those elements play in both films. Maybe not the spurned ex-lover as much in My Bloody Valentine, although a little bit. That's awesome, man. I really love The Prowler. The first time I watched it, I was totally impressed. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that I liked Savini's effects, and I knew that I liked Zito as a director. And to me, it felt like very spiritual, or, you know, like very akin to the final chapter. Like everything that Zito brought in the final chapter in '84, he brought to The Prowler back in, was it '81? I think '81. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I don't mind being wrong. I think I can admit it. Terrible Cockney, terrible. All right, guys. Well, I don't know what else to cover here. I might, you know, call it good on this one, unless you guys have any questions. Usually I plan for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, trying to keep it at least within that 2 hour range. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or any topics you want to have a quick chat about, I can free up this next half hour, or we can just kind of call it good, and you guys can go check out the Friday the 13th ranking video if you haven't seen it yet. I hope that that's not too reflective there on the camera. We'll see. And then yeah, we've got a little Scream action coming at you that we're gonna shoot tonight. So keep an eye out for that next week, guys. Yeah, let me know. Anyone want to talk about anything? Looks like you guys are a little quiet in the chat. That's quite all right. I'll just sip on my coffee here. How about them Yankees? Now, do you guys that are baseball fans, especially if you live close by to, to where your team plays, how often every year do you go check out a ball game? And I'm also curious to know how affordable it is. Because, we live in just outside of Phoenix, and the Diamondbacks are kind of on the rise right now. So, but like most of the time we've lived here, you can get Diamondbacks tickets for like you can get pretty decent tickets, 15 rows up on like the third baseline for like $30, which is, you're not like right next to third base. Maybe you're a little bit in the outfield, but like to me, growing up in a town like Juneau, Alaska, where you had to fly just to see a game, to me, like $30 for that kind of seat's pretty good. And, when the Dodgers come here, since Kate's a fan, we try to make it out to at least one of those games. Of course, they get more expensive, but I'm curious to know if you guys go out there for that experience. As far as I'm concerned, I think that baseball is the best live sport experience. On television, it sort of drags a little bit, although they've made those rule changes to make things quicker and more streamlined. But there's something about being at a ball game. You don't have to pay attention every moment because baseball is such a dynamic sport where you can sort of start paying attention like, oh, crap, there's a couple people on base. Maybe I should, start watching. And then just the fact that it's, I don't know what it is. I think the leisurely aspect of the sport, excuse me, comes across so much better live. Whereas football, I'd rather watch that on television, and hockey, I'd rather watch that on television too. My favorite Nicolas Cage movie, Mud. I'll give you 3. I think my favorite's got to be Raising Arizona. I love Raising Arizona. When I was a kid, my brother Rob and I would watch that movie all the time. I absolutely love that one. I really like, it's been a while since I've seen it, but Matchstick Men with Sam Rockwell. I really liked Matchstick Men as well. I thought, Cage is one of those guys where it's like sometimes the acting is like, what are you doing? And then other times it's like, man, you are like, you've nailed it. And I need to see some of the newer ones because I haven't seen like, what is it, Mandy? I haven't seen, and there's a couple other. Was he Psycho Gorman? Is he in that one as well? Like, there's a whole bunch of newer Cage that I haven't seen. So I'll go. Raising Arizona's got to be my favorite. I really like Matchstick Men, and gosh, it's got to be like a tie between Face Off and Adaptation for the next one. I wish Adaptation were like just a little more digestible as far as like a film itself. It's kind of heavy. Those Charlie Kaufman movies are a total experience to get through. But I think Nicolas Cage does a fantastic job in Adaptation. There's a bunch of heavy hitters in that movie. So many great performances. I think it's one of his best performances. So maybe while the movie is not like my favorite of his, that's one of, I mean, he is a rock star in that film. Yeah, I do need to check out Mandy. You're right, Gavin. Another show, it's great. The pipeline's filling up on, I finally watched it, episodes that I can do. And, God, I got to get a calendar. Like, we have a calendar for, like, Kate and I have a calendar for our lives. I have to get a calendar now, especially setting up these, all these collaborations just to notate when the collaborations are happening. And then also, you like to kind of get together with these people before you work with them just so you can kind of plan things out, get to know them a little bit. So when you go to camera, that rapport is there. So Yeah, and I think that's another good thing too. Is like I could once a week I could put a movie that I haven't seen on there. Like, hey man, you need to watch. Like every week you need to watch at least one movie you've never seen, so you can do an episode of I finally watched it. Gene is a hockey fan. Gene says, "Go Rangers." Well, Gene, I'm a Capitals fan. So, but when I was growing up, the Rangers were so much fun. When I love playing Sega Genesis. I love NHLPA 93 on the Genesis. And yeah, the friggin' Rangers are amazing on that game. They are absolutely amazing. Boom, let me bring that right back up there. Yeah, yeah. What's up, Matt Facci? Facci Cinema. Davey the kills the killer death ray. What's up, man? Hey, dude. Yeah, if you guys have not subbed over at Facci Cinema, please go give him a shot. I really like what Facci does over there. He says, "Go Avs all day. Fight the good fight. Go Bruins." All right, I love the sports chat happening in here. I'm an eclectic guy with a lot of different passions, so it's really great to see that you all are the same way there. Yeah, so Matt has some really fun stuff going over at Facci Cinema. He does multiple live streams every week. He brings in other YouTubers and, you know, they watch movies together. So they do watch along. So you can pull something from your collection and, you know, watch it with a couple of guys. It's kind of like hanging out with friends, right? It's really cool to have those experiences. I really like, and I think you're onto something here, Matt. I really want to see, I really think like every week it would be a great way to do this is the 5 Things We Love series. So what Matt is doing, and it's kind of a way to review a film without reviewing a film, which I really love because you don't have to go through the standard procedure. Like I'm kind of moving away from that a little bit. Like if you watch the Train to Busan, I just sort of give a really bare bones capture of what the plot is. Because the whole by the book review thing, it just sort of, it prevents you from like really showing your personality and talking about what you want to talk about with the movie. And like I said, like carving out your own spot. So I think the way that Matt has carved out his own spot is that 5 Things We Love. And I think that's such a cool, like, that's such a great way to go about it. And I think I saw you post something in one of the comments, like when you initially shared the thumbnail. I think it would be really cool to sort of, and maybe I've missed this and you've done this before and I just haven't heard it. But like ask people what their 5 things are. And then of course they're going to have overlap with what you have, right? But if a few people, you know, say something that's like, whoa, I didn't even like think about that. It would be cool to kind of share like, this is what you guys loved about the movie. You know, to get that interaction going. I think like I urge you guys to go over there and give him a sub and yeah, check out that content. It's a celebration of cinema, a celebration of some movies that don't get as much love as others. I think Matt does a really good job of picking some flicks that, you know, certainly covers some of the big guns as well, but picking some movies that aren't really, you know, like there's so much Halloween content out there, like we all know that, and it's fun to see other films, you know, in horror get their flowers. So yeah, check him out for sure. We did an interview the other week, and I can't wait to work with Matt again on something else. I'm sure we'll cook up something. I think we talked about, I mean, this is way down the line, but I'd love to do 2019's Black Christmas, do a watch along with Matt and just tear that movie to shreds. That would basically be a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode. And hopefully, I think it's well within our power to do something even a couple times before then. So hell yeah. What's happening, Ryan? Great to see you in the chat. We're sort of wrapping up things here, but feel free to go on back and check it out. We talked about, you know, what was covered on the channel earlier this week. We talked about some future collaborations and shows and threw out some flowers to folks like Movie Misfits, who I'm working on something with this May, and Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. Wolfman's Got Nards, a couple other, you know, collaborations that are cooking there. And of course, Never Hike Alone 2. Guys, the campaign for the Never Hike Alone 2 Indiegogo is closing this weekend. If you haven't bought a copy of a copy of the film on Blu-ray, take a minute, too much coffee, then check out the link in the description below so you can contribute to that awesome campaign. I also dropped links down there for Movie Misfits, for Wolfman's Got Nards, Slaughtered Lamb, Foz Rotten, who I'm working on a collab with, and a link so you can check out Never Hike Alone 2 if you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, guys, real quick, let me know in the chat, would you be interested in seeing me do like I mean, it's not going to be a reaction because I've already watched it numerous times, but would you guys be interested in me doing like a commentary for Never Hike Alone 2? Because I was thinking about that. Like, usually when I watch a movie with Kate, if it's something we've seen before, I like talk so much about all the little tidbits and stuff. So it might be kind of fun for me to watch Never Hike Alone and just do my own little commentary. But you know, if it's something that you guys aren't really feeling, then no need to do that. And then yeah, for you guys that are popping in a little bit later here, we are Kate and I are shooting our movie date with Davey and Kate. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, screw it. I won't even try. So we are shooting our very first episode of Movie Date with Davey and Kate tonight. We are covering the original Scream, and it's going to be like a more casual, conversational kind of, just diving into different aspects of the film, talking about how it affected the genre moving forward, our memories of it, how our thoughts and feelings have changed, all that kind of good stuff. So that's going to be a brand new show that hopefully every month we'll have a new episode. And the idea with Movie Date with Davey and Kate is that we pick a movie, Kate and I pick a movie that we both are very familiar with. So it's not going to be something where it's like, I'm just a fan or she's just a fan. It's like we're coming together with a mutual love and passion, and we're sharing our different perspectives, because I'm about 11 and a half years older than Kate. So some of these movies, like, I watched them when I was in my 20s for the first time, or I grew up with them and she's just seeing them now, like we'll probably do RoboCop at some point soon. And I think I showed Kate RoboCop when we first met, and that's a movie I grew up watching and one of my favorite films of all time. So what we'll do is we'll shoot this episode and then we'll put a little poll out there probably just to get your guys' involvement and see what you want us to cover next time around. All right, Fight the Good Fight says, it's been fun. Have a good day, Davey. Peace out, dude. Peace out to you as well, Fight the Good Fight. Gavin says, I'll watch whatever you put out, man. And so does Paul. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, that's something that I can work in really easy. That would be a breeze to put that together. Gosh, I could probably even shoot that tonight and do like a really quick live thing. So we'll see how my voice holds up. But I'm willing to go that extra mile for you guys. All right, guys. Well, I think we can kind of wrap it up here. We're at about an hour 45 on the stream. I don't want to drag it on just to drag it on. And I really appreciate you guys jumping in here to the chat, hanging out with us, contributing your thoughts and your opinions, and of course, interacting with each other. I love seeing people that I interact with in the chats coming on over here. I love seeing just that kind of the friendship and the community aspect of YouTube on full display here. So really appreciate every single one of you guys. I love you guys, the subs that have been here since the very beginning, and everyone that's new here that got brought over from either Barry throwing out the mention, and of course the Slaughtered Lamb guys mentioning the channel on a couple of their streams as well. So yeah, check out the catalog of vids on the channel, like this video, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Let me know in the comments section what you want to see covered here on the channel. And until next time, I've been and will continue to be Davey Deathray. Take care.